This is a very important meeting for the ministry. It's a very important milestone because in this country, the business of madrasa and majalis study was always known to be the business of the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. But the leadership of this ministry felt that we trained them at that level. What next? What future do they have? This is why they came up with this initiative of creating a transition for graduates from the madrasa and majalis so that they can also equally contribute to the development of this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to take your time, but allow me to introduce the high table to you. On my immediate left is the consultant for this study, Mr. Mohamed Hassan Loum. And next to him is our Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Professor Pierre Gomez. And after him is our able Permanent Secretary, Dr. Yusuf Ature. And next to him is our Deputy Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Ndeye Fatou Trawale. So we'd like to welcome you all, and please, and I'd like to say that the media crew is part of this family now, and I thank you for your patience. So I'll hand you over to the Permanent Secretary, who is going to deliver his welcome remarks. Thank you so much.
Professor Pierre Gomez, the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, the consultant, Mr. Loum, also the Registrar of Euclid University, the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. I am sure we have higher officials of our universities here. Let me recognize the presence of Professor Fane, who also has the mantle of leadership at Euclid, the Vice Chancellor, the President, at that place. Media fraternity, like Kumba said, you are part of us now. We've been doing so many things together, around this, and you've been, very positive about these developments coming from this end. I would suggest, Kumba, we pray. Huh? Okay, it's a tradition, especially when you are talking about madrasa, education, and stuff. So we would pray silently, Okay. May the Lord Almighty guide our presence and whatever we will do, here today. This is a media briefing on the madrasa. Like the chair stated, earlier on, madrasa is the business of this government. Because in the madrasa, in the majalis, we have Gambians. And these Gambians, too, have equal rights to education, like any other. And to be educated at basic and secondary is just the beginning. But we should have the right to be skilled enough to take care of, our own welfare and the welfare, of the state. This is because everybody has a responsibility to contribute their quota to national development. And how do you contribute your quota to national development if you are not properly, skilled? And it is the responsibility of the state to provide that education, to the Gambian people. After a careful, thought, we realize as a sector that given the number of Gambians that are involved in this cadre, in this part of our education system, it would be not desirable if we do not include them in whatever we are doing at the post-secondary level. It is for this reason that this consultancy is commissioned, to look into the pathways, to be able to guide this ministry as to how they can be absorbed into the main system. The main system would mean from the madrasa, they would also go into the post-secondary education, especially in the skills area, to learn those skills, so that when they come out, they don't have to be Arabic teachers in our schools or Islamic teachers in our schools. They don't just have to be imams in our communities. Yes, the Arabic teachers, the imams are doing tremendously well for our communities. They are taking part in very important endeavors of our communities. But the world is changing, and how many of us would task ourselves to be responsible for their welfare? If they don't learn skills, they will not be able to take proper care of themselves and their families. It is for this reason that it is very important. We deem it important, very important indeed, to ensure that they are also extended the same opportunity as those that are doing their education in English. After all, it is due to maybe our ill fortune that we are probably doing our education in a language different from our mother tongue, right? We would have done this in Wolof, in Mandinka, in Pular, in Jola, in Manjaco, as in other areas. Like you go to India, they do it in Hindi. You go to Arabia, they do it in Arabic. But because we weren't very organized at the very beginning, we have to do it in English and Arabic. That does not mean one language is better than the other. So upon this realization, we think we should give them all the opportunities they require to also have access to that level of education. And it is for this very reason that we are here, and the consultant would delve deeper, into some of those things. And before, later, the minister would come in to explain clearly, the direction of this ministry as far as madrasa education is concerned. So on that note, I thank you all for coming. We would continue to do this together, and we would see how far we can go with the madrasa education, because we have about 20% of our population, school-going population, in this very critical area, and they deserve better. So thank you very much for coming. All right, I would now call on the consultant.
بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good morning.
All right, I would now call on the consultant to make a statement.
بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good morning. Who also happened to be my lecturer at university when I was doing my bachelor's in French, early 2000, and my master's also in French in 2010. I've known also the permanent secretary, Dr. Yusufa Toure, for many years now. I've been in the higher education sector, and I also want to acknowledge my boss, the Vice Chancellor of Euclid University, Professor Mamoudou Mustafa Fane, representatives of the senior management team at Moherst here, the Deputy Permanent Secretary, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols respectfully and duly observed. The project, which is sponsored by the World Bank, is called the Gambia Resilience, Inclusion, Skills and Equity Project, RISE. That's the acronym. It's a 5-year multi-sectoral project financed by the World Bank to the tune of 92 million US dollars. It seeks to enhance the country's human development capital by improving education quality and access, increasing employment opportunities, and extending social protection to the most vulnerable segments of society. As you've heard the PS said, the madrasa education sector accounts for 20% of school-going population. And we must say that there's a distinguished difference between madrasa and majalis, but the survey is focusing, or the study is focusing on madrasas. So the Ministry for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Moherst, is a main beneficiary of the RISE project. And the main objective of the consultancy, according to the terms of reference, is to identify critical gaps at the madrasa senior secondary education sector. And once we've identified that gaps, or those gaps, we will be able to design a comprehensive strategy to guide the process of integrating students from this sector, which is the madrasa sector, into mainstream tertiary and higher education with a focus on STEM, which is the sciences, technology, education, and mathematics, or engineering and mathematics, TVET, apprenticeship, and we also are thinking about entrepreneurship. I am aware as the consultant that this is the first time that Moherst is conducting such an important study, and I have been an advocate for this for a long time, and I'm indeed very happy to be part of this game-changing process. So the study is for a period of 4 months. I signed the contract early August, and it will end in December, inshallah. We have embarked upon important pre-consultations with key stakeholders. On the 11th of September, at this very room here, we had what we call key informant interviews. We had members of Amana, the Ministry for Basic and Secondary Education. You cannot talk about madrasa education in this country without mentioning MOPSI. We also had UNICEF, who are a very major financier of madrasa education in this country. So we had a lot of them. We had the Gambia Supreme Islamic Council. We had higher education institutions that are purely Islamic and Arabic that were here, Al-Hikmah University, Al-Ihsan, and other colleges that responded very positively, and they prayed for the minister. Categorically, clearly, they said that he is the first sitting Minister of Higher Education who visited their higher education institutions, and we tell him thank you for that. We clap for him, and they prayed for him for his vision and his dedication and passion for this particular sector. Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are in September, but in October, we are planning to embark upon the school surveys. Because in order to gather critical information data, we have to do physical surveys. And in those physical surveys, there will be also inspection of curricula, as specified in the terms of reference. There will be inspection of physical infrastructure, so that we will know the capacities that they have and the gaps that are currently existing. So we had received a list from Amana, which is corroborated also by the list from the Ministry for Basic and Secondary Education, that there are 76 schools, madrasas, that are operating senior secondary schools, and we intend to visit all of them across the length and breadth of the country in the 6 administrative divisions, school administrative divisions. We are also going to have 12 focus group discussions, 2 per region. So from the 12 to the 17, and this is the plan, inshallah, and we have discussed it with Amana and the other stakeholders, and they are very okay with it. They are ready to welcome us. So we will also interview 936 students from grades 10, 11, and 12. Why grade 10, 11, and 12? These are the cohort, the batches that will be graduating to enter into the tertiary and higher education sector. So from 7, 8, 9, we are assuming that 10, 11, 12, they will be ready, they will understand employment opportunities, the pathways like the permanent secretary talked about. So we will be interviewing them, and we have started, or we have developed the framework for the interview questions, which will be reviewed and validated together with Moherst and other stakeholders. So the school surveys, as I said, will involve inspection of physical infrastructure, classrooms, curriculum used, teaching and learning materials, etc., as part of comprehensive situational analysis of madrasas as required by the terms of reference for this consultancy. The idea behind these multiple quantitative and qualitative data collection methods is to ensure, to the extent possible, that no stone is left unturned in the collection of relevant data in order to inform the development of a comprehensive and implementable sector strategy for madrasa integration in post-secondary education. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as a Gambian, as a Muslim, and having dealt with madrasa for many years, actually when I was in the University of the Gambia, opposite Imam Malik Institute, that is where I used to study the Quran, Tajweed. That is where I used to study the Quran, and I understand their problems. I humbly and respectfully believe that this study is an important step in the right direction to ensure and facilitate the meaningful inclusion of the madrasa education sector into our Gambia's conventional learning system. It is important for us to clarify something. During our key informant interviews, we saw a lot of misconception, we saw a lot of fears, we saw a lot of conspiracy theories, thinking that this integration has something to do with changing the madrasa ecosystem. I say, kalla, no. In fact, this is an improvement of the madrasa education system. We are saying this is not a change of your identity. This is not a change of your DNA. It is not telling you change your modus operandi, what you used to do. No, it is telling you to improve what you already have. Continue doing your subjects in Arabic, continue, but we are saying do English. Don't be left behind. Okay, have the capacities also to give your graduates the ability to enter into the University of the Gambia, the USET, so that they can speak English, they can speak Arabic. Even if you have a school of translation and interpretation, recently in the concluded OIC, we saw expert interpreters that came from other countries speaking Arabic and English. We are also saying that we can have that in this country, inshallah. So the issue is all about improving madrasas, making sure that they become more functional. They are functional, but we are saying that we intend to make them more functional, more universal, and more diverse. So I take this opportunity to thank the Higher Education Ministry and the Honorable Minister for their vision, passion, dedication, and strategic direction to ensure that this project will become a successful and sustainable reality. A truly developed country is one where all citizens from diverse education backgrounds have equal opportunities towards higher education and employment. We conclude by praying for continued peace, progress, and prosperity for His Excellency, the President Adama Barrow, his government, and the entire people of the Gambia. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
So much, the consultant, Mohammed Hassan Loom, Mr. Now we move on to the Honorable Minister's statement, and then we can proceed to the next briefing. She is the consultant for the development of the National Gender Policy for Tertiary and Higher Education. Due to time difference, about 4 hours, and she's supposed to be at work as well. So the Honorable and the PS has asked that we allow her to speak to us so that we can allow her to go, and then we can proceed with this madrasa briefing. Thank you. She is, as I said, Dr. Aminata Stilla. She's Gambian.
I can't clearly see everyone in the room, but whatever protocol that has been established, we will stand on those. So my name is Dr. Aminata Stilla. I am a public policy analyst and associate professor of political science at Towson University. And I'm also the consultant that's going to be working with Moherst to come up with a gender and inclusion policy. So the policy is set to really address gender equality in all aspects of the work that the ministry does, ensuring that Moherst aligns not only with international standards, but also best practices in promoting gender equity and also inclusion within the Gambia's higher education ecosystem. So the gender policy that we're working on will serve as a foundational framework to ensure gender equity within the higher educational sector, but also the work will involve a thorough review of the existing gender policies that exist from similar ministries. So we're going to look at similar ministries, look at their gender policies, look at what they're doing, look at best practices, and see how we can contextualize it to our context within the Gambia. And also there will be an analysis of international standards and of course best practices. And then of course we are going to have an in-depth, or I will be performing an in-depth analysis of the current policies and practices at Moherst as far as gender and inclusion is concerned as well. The goal of this analysis is really, as we prepare to write the gender policy, is to identify the gaps, the key gaps, and also to address the challenges and opportunities that are there, so that the policy will also provide actionable strategies to address the gender disparities within the ministry and all of its affiliated institutions. So as part of this consultancy, I will engage with key stakeholders, including all our educational institutions, to gather really diverse perspectives on gender and inclusion issues. So the reason for this participatory approach is really to ensure that we have everyone's voice, because voice is very important in this policy that's actually going to be guiding the ministry's work. So this approach will involve our surveys, focus groups, discussions, and interviews to ensure that the policy reflects the voices of the relevant people. So it's not going to be passive participation, it will actually be active participation, because we want to really get everyone's opinion, including the people that are most. So based on this, we'll have a draft policy available by November, and then followed by a final policy in December, which is going to be incorporating the feedback of all our stakeholders. So it's important to note that this policy really underscores Moherst's commitment to advancing gender equality and of course fostering a very inclusive education system that benefits all Gambians. So the final gender policy will provide a blueprint really for ensuring accountability, for ensuring that we are also be able to monitor progress, and of course to foster sustainable gender equity in higher education. I'm going to stop here and if there are any questions, so this will be my statement. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty into what I'm going to be doing and how I'm going to be doing it. So thank you.
Thank you. So we have an understanding of what the gender policy is going to look like, the areas it's going to cover. But we know that the Ministry of Gender and Children and Women Affairs. But this policy is targeted at addressing the needs at the tertiary and higher education level. So it's not the same as the national gender that we have policy. That one is for everybody, but this one is targeted at our girls and women at tertiary and higher education, because we've recognized that they have challenges, especially the girls, the student mothers with babies at home, in terms of access, in terms of other provisions that can support their learning. So thank you so much, Dr. Silla. And may we proceed to the Honorable Minister?
Before so since we have Honorable Savali, please let's adjust the program and allow him to make a statement, especially on the, just for a briefing, we are launching two from one that you know regarding the madrasa, and then the other one also for the female gender in touch and higher education. Maybe you can share some thoughts before.
Let me say something. Very quickly, thank you very much, Mamadou Sabali, for coming. I just told him about this today, and why I'm taking the mic again is because of Mamadou Sabali is very passionate about madrasa education. We've been working on madrasa projects for many, many years. He personally, he does not like for me to say these things, but I'll have to say them. When the fencing of Haja Maimuna Savage, the late Haja Maimuna Savage school, when we were doing the fencing project, Moherst was one of the first people who responded very favorably, you understand, towards the fencing project, and also many other madrasas that are being sponsored in this country. So when I told him about it, he was very happy. And in his new slogan, the imams are definitely happy with this project. So Moherst you're welcome. I'm very happy that you're here. And we really want you to see what Moherst is doing. And also, the passion and the dedication of the Higher Education Minister with regards to this particular project. And also the issue of gender, since you support a lot of women in your Sabari Leadership Academy. Thank you, and we welcome you. The floor is yours, the change of agenda, so you can have to say a few words.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Honorable Minister, Minister of Higher Education, Permanent Secretary, Directors, Prof. Fane. I'd like to recognize him because growing up when we went to Gambia High, we met their legacies between Gambia High and St. Augustine's as the boys of smartness before Boxo declared me to be one. Media personnel, support staff. I'm very happy. My sister, Dr. Silla, actually I know that. I can guarantee that you are Gambian because I know that. I'm very happy to be a small part of this really, really huge enterprise. You see, when we talk about democracy and human rights, we are not just talking about protests and elections. When you talk about democracy, it's also about the democratization of the resources of the country. And that's what I see the Barrow administration doing, and doing it very effectively, like the roads we have here. We pay taxes, those of us who go through the regular educational curricula. The madrasa students, they pay taxes, and they are no less Gambian. So to have a minister that's paving a way, that's further democratizing education in this country, I think we should definitely commend Professor Gomez. I don't want to speak much, but certain things have to be said. I was lucky to be on the same panel with Prof. Gomez that Loom organized at some point at Euclid on interfaith dialogue. But I like to say there's even no need for interfaith dialogue in this country. We don't have problem between religions in this country. We have a few individuals who sometimes can be obnoxious, and they are a part of us. We cannot cut the tongue just because it's bitten by the teeth. You have a minister who's well known for his dedication to his religion, Christianity, making sure that Muslim Gambians have their fair share of resources being dedicated to education. I think it's worthy of commendation. I think it just exemplifies, like I said when I attended Old Unuma, and I found that a Christian principal, who happens to be proudly from my school, St. Peter's Technical High School, is building a mosque in that school. Where is the problem? Let us not create problems where there is none. I think this country is too peaceful, so sometimes we try to create problems, but I mean, we can't take those risks, man. Prof, we want to commend you for your foresight, for your leadership, and we want to assure you of our support, because some of us have multiple playing platforms. I'm in government, but I have my non-governmental roles. And we want to commend President Barrow for his leadership, for his spirit of peaceful coexistence and unity in this country. Regarding the other dimension, the gender element, I think we men, we can and we should do better. Every student's teaching, educational career starts at the basic nursery school and primary. Mine were women. There was a woman lady at the old church opposite the petrol station in Sanchaba. We call her Teacher Keba. I still don't know her. It was a woman who taught me the alphabet. Primary one, it was Mrs. Jao. Then there was Kinta, then Mrs. Jalo. They were women. So if we come to that level, we should not forget about them. And the irony is, for a country of Muslims and Christians, the whole Christian doctrine is based on what? The dedication and sacrifice of a woman, Mary, Maryam. In Islam, the first person to accept the message of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Khadija. Men, let's be like Prof. Gomez and President Barrow and Mr. Loom. Thank you very much, and may Allah bless this platform.
So much, Honorable. You couldn't have said it any better. Thank you so much, and we're honored to have you in our midst. I'd like to now welcome the Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Professor Gomez.
Thank you very much, MC. Thank you, Honorable Savali, PS, DPS directors of Moherst and all the Moherst staff here present, consultants, Loom and Priscilla, and brothers and sisters from the media, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Today is a great day. In the morning, by the way, sorry for starting late because I was asked to go and step in for one of my colleagues, to deliver the statement on his behalf. And interestingly, that was the first time the Gambia is going to have such thing, and then even within West Africa. So today is a day of fast, because here too we are having this activity, one about the first ever policy strategies on gender for tertiary and higher education. We never had that before since independence. And next year we're going to have 60 years of independence. This also going to be the first time we're having is a consultancy that will help us come up with strategies for the madrasa, integrating the madrasa into the tertiary and higher education ecosystem. This is the first time it's happening in the Gambia. So it's a day of first. I'm happy that the Moherst team, from the PS to the last person, all are geared towards making sure the transformation agenda, as articulated by His Excellency President Barrow, is implemented without any delay. Yes, the marching orders that we received from His Excellency President Barrow is education must be inclusive. Education must help Gambians to get the skill sets and the right enlightenment to take charge of their destiny. And in that process, nobody should be left behind, especially those coming from the madrasa. It will be some sort of one social injustice if at the end of the day you will have your brothers and sisters who are citizens like you, who will finish equivalent of grade 12, and then now you don't propose any alternative for them, but you propose alternative for others who are in other system. Yet you have recognized that education system, because we have it up to equivalent of grade 12 at basic and secondary education. What about post-secondary? You see, we're having some technical problems that we need to address if we want to have sustainable development. To do that, you need to create pathways for this category of people so that they can take part in the development agenda of this country. That's the reason why yesterday you must have seen that we have started rolling out the agenda by coming up with that special scholarship for those Gambian youths who are in tertiary and higher education institutions from the Islamic institutions, from the madrasa, to now provide scholarships for them. We will be giving them, at least for a start, 100 scholarships paid by the Gambia government. This is in fulfillment of President Barrow's agenda, serving the Gambian people. You see, the message from Banjul is very clear, that we are out to serve the Republic. In serving the Republic, President Barrow doesn't want to know where you come from, which religion you practice, which region you're coming from, who is your father, your mother, which ethnic group you come from. He says the republic. And the republic cannot go for segregation. The republic serves everybody. Then we will have sustainable development. But when you have people at the periphery, who will take care of them? You see, in other countries from the Arab world, we have people who read Arabic as a medium of instruction. Like some of us did English, French, Portuguese, Spanish, and so on, as medium of instruction. But that should not stop you from doing something else. And I always give you the example of Imam Babali, who went and read Arabic and did electrical training and all that, came back and served as electrician under GUC in those days. Now it is happening in all those countries. So we can have now a system where people can finish and be technicians and be engineers. They can be scholars in Islamic studies and so on, but yet still be becoming engineers. We cannot put them in a confinement where you said for you, the only thing you can do is to be an ustaz or to be an imam. We are saying in a republic, you can be an imam and be an engineer. You can be an imam and be an auto mechanic. You have a profession. You feed yourself, feed your family, feed the nation. Development is the sum total of these small contributions. This is the agenda. This is the marching orders. So we start with the scholarships, but the other thing also is how now to come up with that TVET agenda, so that those coming from that system can also have access to the TVET program that we are offering. Then we'll have construction experts. By the way, some of the consultants for your roads are coming from the Arab world. You see, why can't we see these basic things? You are spending millions of dollars giving it to those who read Arabic as the medium of instruction, but they are from another country. But those here in your own backyards, you refuse to equip them. There's need to have that equilibrium for development to take its right trajectory in this country. So this is the agenda. And we hope with the work of the consultants and support of everybody, we will reach there. And thank you, Prof. Fane, VC of UCLIC, for also being there for academia. We're always very grateful, always a true friend of Moherst. Whenever there are activities, you are always present. So this is known to everybody. This is part of your DNA. But we want the young ones to emulate your sacrifice. So the second one is the gender in tertiary higher education, especially female gender. Right now, we have more females finishing grade 12 than boys, even finishing grade 9 than boys. However, when it comes to post-secondary, you have more boys than girls. So the data shows that we have a problem of transition. We cannot continue with that same approach. How can you, and recently GBOS reminded us that we were saying they are 52, now he said 51, whatever, but yeah, but it's around that. You have more women than men in this country. more girls than boys in tertiary, in basic and secondary education. So how comes you have more boys than girls in tertiary and higher education? If care is not taken, you are telling the female gender in this country, called the Gambia, that the highest you can go is grade 12. The rest go and get married. Is it fair? Is that democracy? And recently, when the results were out, who was the number one? You see, a female topped the list. Among the first 10, you have many female. So yet, then you want these people not to progress, not to go further. And you listen to what Honorable Sabali said. The representation for those of you who are people of the book, what women represent. If you just take, let's look at the Gambian context, Christianity and Islam. The role that women played in this religion. Yet still, we decide to do otherwise. Are we with ourselves? Do we have that reconciliation with ourselves? Do we have that conversation with our Creator? So there's a message that we need to get from this. That development cannot be achieved if we do not fix these gaps. So, Honorable Sabali, thank you for reminding us of these facts. You've talked about Mariam, and in all these two books, I'm not a specialist in religion, so I'm not like Loom and others who know something. You know, if you want to check whether I know the Bible, then you will end up giving me 0. The Quran, you will give me 0. But at least I read somewhere that, yes, even if you take Maryam, I think 40 times being quoted in the Quran, more than anybody else, any woman ever. And then also in the Bible, also how its representation. But it's about, if you are to forget about all that, it's about Ikra. It's about seeking knowledge. We need to allow the female gender to seek knowledge. So, Dr. and Prof. Dr. Silla, thank you for being there. Also, for a true friend of the Ministry of Higher Education. We're very happy. I know how passionate you are on the gender aspect of it. And I think you are the one, in fact, who should even pay the Gambia government for just doing this, because this is what you've been talking about for many, many years. And interestingly, you are now given the golden opportunity to work with stakeholders to ensure we right the wrongs, we fix the problems, and allow the female gender to come out from their comfort zones and take their right place in society, and also especially in our tertiary and higher education ecosystem. So thank you very much. And thank you also, Mohamed Loom. You're very, very passionate about it also, about the madrasa and so on and so forth. So we hope that we have no doubt that you will also push for us to have this consultancy done very well, that will inform all stakeholders at the end of the day that time is now for us to change the way we used to do things. Now is the time to really reflect and adjust our education ecosystem. We cannot do it the way we used to do it. The madrasa, all the students from the madrasa are citizens like you. They also should take part. The female gender, they are also part and parcel of the Gambia. They also should take part. Nobody should be left behind. Democracy is inclusive, and the Republic knows no segregation. So on that note, I want to thank the consultants, Mr. Mohamed Lum and Professor Aminata Silla, to say that you have our full support, and we will be available for any question, any support that you will need to ensure that you do your work, and all stakeholders will be also available to ensure that at the end of the day, the transformative agenda is implemented. We are rolling out that transformation, and we cannot waste time, because development, as I used to say, it is now and it cannot be postponed. For a long time we waited. Now is the time to implement. And that's the directive from His Excellency President Barrow, because 2024 is the year of delivery. You heard him at the National Assembly, year of delivery. So now it's no longer time to be theorizing, it's action. So on these issues, the madrasa, the gender, yes, we waited for a long time, but it's now to put everything into action. So thank you very much for coming, and thank you, Kumba, for the coordination, and thank the entire Moherst family for a job well done. And we have no doubt that very soon you will later see the manifestation of all these activities. But at the end of the day, we later understand that we are being used as tools for the manifestation of the glory of God in the service of the Republic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, you must agree with me that here we are making history, and this is the epitome of inclusive education. Inclusion, because we are bringing a marginalized group, graduates of madrasa education, who, when they graduate, there is no hope for them. But we are telling them, you can graduate, be productive by coming into our technical universities, our mainstream universities, and and contribute to the ecosystem, to the economic education, because we are targeting what? Female students, the female gender, to also have a future in contributing to our RISE project for the madrasa, for supporting the madrasa education, support for the development of the national gender policy for tertiary and higher education.